Stay with us, Lord Jesus, stay with us. Stay with us, it soon is evening. Stay with us, Lord Jesus, stay with us, it soon is evening, and night is falling. Stay with us, Lord Jesus, stay with us. Stay with us, it soon is evening. Stay with us, Lord Jesus, stay with us, it soon is evening, and night is falling. The darkness deepens, with us abide. The darkness deepens, with us abide. In life and death, with us abide. In life and death, Lord, with us abide. Stay with us, stay with us, stay with us, it soon is evening. Stay with us, Lord Jesus, stay with us, it soon is evening, and night is falling.
On that day, that Friday, he was made to suffer, inflicted by our transgressions, burdened by our iniquities, tortured by our violence, more than what he could endure. Hatred made real and palpable, anger and cruelty against the body, lashed out on the skin, against all that was true and good and beautiful. A mob lynching the innocent against the divine Son who just wanted to be one of us. Cutting down the tree to carve out a cross grown from a seed, a plant whose life's goal was to reach the sun and provide air to this world, the sustenance of breath. But people of power made it into an instrument and tool to execute a political prisoner, someone who was deemed a traitor because he sought a world better than our own, one where we sit at the table together, where the sick are healed, their wounds mended, and liberation is pronounced to the imprisoned, to speak against the principalities of this world, resisting their strategies of violence, declaring the day of the Lord, But all these dreams were dashed on hardened hearts, hearts not able to see God with us, present, breathing the same air, laughing, crying, sleeping, being with, standing beside, needing us as much as we needed him. Except for the few women who followed him to the end. He was abandoned, left to die, until he breathed his last, until he forgave his offenders, executed with thieves, death row inmates, hanging their heads with him, until the clouds darkened, their chests sunken, until the light of the world was extinguished by merciless hands, making the brilliant sky dark, eclipsing, crucifying God, open God, vulnerable God, tender God, who hung there as dead as that tree.
Life is full of light and shadows, all the joy and all the sorrow, all the sorrow. And yet will he bring dark to light, and yet will he bring day from night. When the shadows fall on us, we will not fear, we will remember. When darkness falls on us, we will not fear, we will remember. When all seems lost, when we're thrown and we're tossed, we'll remember the cross. We're resting in the shadow of the cross. Life is full of light and shadow, all the joy and all the sorrow, all the sorrow. And yet he will bring dark to light, and yet he will bring day from night. When the shadows fall on us, we will not fear, we will remember. When darkness falls on us, we will not fear, we will remember. When all seems lost, when we're thrown and we're tossed, we'll remember the cost. We're resting in the shadow of the cross. sin to hide what you have sent him from your side to walk upon this guilty sword and to become the Lamb of God. O Lamb of God, sweet Lamb of God, I love the holy Lamb of God. Of love we crucified, we loved and sorely was he died. The humble King we named our fraud, and sacrificed the Lamb of God. O Lamb of God, sweet Lamb of God, I love the holy Lamb of God. Oh, wash me in your precious blood, Lord Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God. I was so lost, I should have died, but you have brought me to your side to be led by your staff and rod, and to be called the Lamb of God. O Lamb of God, sweet Lamb of God, I love the holy Lamb of God. Oh, wash me in your precious blood, Lord Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God.
To our service of silence and sorrow on this Good Friday. Via Dolorosa is the Latin phrase for the journey that we are on tonight. It's the way of suffering. We gather in the shadow of the cross on this journey of lament. Suffering and lament are hard and latent feelings. We so often want to avoid them because they're so hard. And yet they are latent. There's no Sunday without Friday. There's no transformation without death. It is a sacred alchemy, but a painful one. In our liturgy, we will be sharing in times of silence in 3-minute intervals to symbolize the 3 hours that Jesus suffered on the Christ before his death. During our times of silence, I encourage you not to worry about controlling your thoughts or blocking out the sounds around us. In a world filled with so much noise, silence can be uncomfortable and startling, but it can also be healing and revelatory. If the time feels long, I encourage you to hear that as a prompting from God to open yourself up even more. Tonight, in the silence, we will meet God in new ways. In this space or in your home, you're invited to hold your body and soul in whatever ways feel most comfortable, to listen to your breath, to inhale and exhale, and to be open to how the Spirit may move your soul. We're going to first enter into a time of silence where we were first going to enter into a practicing session, if you will, of silence. Then we will enter into a silence of lament. And then we will enter into silences for 3 different parts of the story of the crucifixion. We will be prompted into silence with some questions to reflect on. And then we will be brought back from the silence by singing a verse of Were You There? So I invite you into the first silence. Let us now fully enter the space of sorrow and silence focused on this question. What sorrows, mine or the world's, do I bring into this space? What sorrows do you bring, mine or the world's, do I bring into this space? What
You there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it caused me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
As we enter into the final moments of the life of Christ, we We seek not to rush to the resurrection, but to sit at the foot of the cross, a place where none of us actually want to be, but a place and a space that many of us know far too well. So here we are, gathered together, and the discomfort and the disruption, and the grief and the sorrow, the anger and the anguish. As we gather, we also know that the sorrows of the world are created and reinforced by individuals and communities, with action or inaction, with subtlety or subconsciousness, with intent or impunity. For all the ways that we have added to the sorrow of others or ourselves, we lament and we confess. I invite you to enter this next time of silence, reflecting on the question, how have I, or how have we added to the sorrow around us, personally, communally, and globally? We confess and we sit in silence.
cause me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord?
Friends, we are forgiven for even our worst thoughts and deeds. We are forgiven. Not as humans forgive with limit, but as only God is able to forgive. With the Holy One's unimaginable limitlessness. For this, we are grateful, and all God's people pray. Amen. Now we've brought ourselves fully into this moment of the story. Now that we've reflected on the sorrows and all the stuff that we bring into this space, and now that we have confessed how we've added sorrow, now we enter into the story of sorrow. At times, as we read and as we reflect in silence, our reflections and our thoughts might mirror current or recent political realities. It's important to remember that that's okay. Jesus was killed by political institutions. At other times, our reflections might mirror personal realities, things that have happened or are happening to you. It's important to remember that that's okay too. For while Jesus' love was universal, the suffering was personal. Jesus is with you. So we enter a time of our first reading.
This is a reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, verses 27 to 31. The soldiers assigned to the governor took Jesus into the governor's palace and got the entire brigade together for some fun. They stripped him and dressed him in a red robe. They plaited a crown from the branches of a thorn bush and set it on his head. They put a stick in his right hand for a scepter. Then they knelt before him in mocking reverence. "Bravo, King of the Jews," they said, "bravo." Then they spit on him and hit him on the head with a stick. When they had their fun, they took off the robe and put his own clothes back on him. Then they proceeded out to the crucifixion.
So let us reflect. How is this sorrow known today? How does violence mock innocence? Where do authoritarian powers mock Jesus today? Where is violence mocking and causing suffering today? How is this sorrow known today? We reflect.
A reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, verses 32 through 44. Along the way, they came on a man from Cyrene named Simon and made him carry Jesus' cross. Arriving at Golgotha, the place they called Skull Hill, they offered him a mild painkiller, a mixture of wine and myrrh. But when he tasted it, he wouldn't drink it. After they had finished nailing him to the cross and were waiting for him to die, they killed time by throwing dice for his clothes. Above his head, they had posted the criminal charge against him. This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Along with him, they also crucified 2 criminals, one to his right and the other to his left. People passing along the road jeered, shaking their heads in mock lament. You bragged that you could tear down the temple and then rebuild it in 3 days. So show us your stuff. Save yourself. If you are really God's son, come down from that cross. The high priests, along with the religion scholars and leaders, were right there mixing it up with the rest of them, having a great time poking fun at him. He saved the others, but he can't save himself. King of Israel, isn't he? Then let him get down from that cross. We'll all become believers then. He was so sure of God, we'll let him rescue his son. Now, if he wants him. He did claim to be God's son, didn't he? Even the 2 criminals crucified next to him joined in the mockery.
How is this sorrow known today? Where is Christ being crucified today? Who are the activists and the helpers and the lovers being crucified? Who are the suffering? Where are lives being destroyed and demolished? How is this suffering known today? We reflect.
This reading from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, is verses 45 through 50. From noon to 3, the whole earth was dark. Around mid-afternoon, Jesus groaned out of the depths, crying loudly, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you abandoned me? Some bystanders who heard him said, he's calling for Elijah. One of them ran and got a sponge soaked in sour wine and lifted it on a stick so he could drink. The other jokes, don't be in such a hurry. Let's see if Elijah comes and saves him. But Jesus, again crying out loudly, breathed his last.
Let us reflect. How is this suffering known today? Where is the suffering of death acute today? Who are the martyrs killed for standing up against authoritarianism today? How is the suffering of death known today? How is this sorrow known today? We reflect. for this final reflection, I want to invite you to take whatever sorrows you've been carrying with you, whatever ways in which you've connected to the cross, to these stories. I invite you to either take a red rose and to lay it at the foot of the cross, laying your sorrows and your burdens at the foot of the cross. Or I invite you to extinguish some of the candles. We enter into our last moment of silence. I invite you into a last singing of Were You There? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Oh, sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? And so the task has ended. Go in pieces. Our faith has been rear-ended and certainty amended. And something might be mended that we didn't know was torn. And we are fire, bright, burning fire, turning from the higher places from which we fell, emptying ourselves into the hell in which we'll find our loving and beloved brother, mother, sister, father, friend. And so, friends, the task has ended. Go in pieces to see and feel your world.